Haunted Stanley Hotel. Ghosts of Estes Park, Colorado. Nestled in the picturesque mountains of Estes Park, Colorado, the Stanley Hotel is known for its grandiose architecture and stunning views of the Rocky Mountains. However, beneath its historic charm lies a dark, chilling reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. Opened in the history behind the haunting Freeland. Oscar Stanley, the hotel's founder, had moved to Estes Park in the early 1900s after being diagnosed with tuberculosis. The mountain air was believed to have healing properties, and Stanley indeed recovered, leading him to build the Grand Stanley Hotel as a luxurious resort for the wealthy. The hotel thrived, attracting notable guests, but over time its reputation began to shift from one of elegance to something far more eerie. One of the most famous legends surrounding the Stanley Hotel involves Stanley himself. According to King, he and his wife were the only guests in the hotel that night. They experienced strange occurrences, including hearing children running down the halls, which later influenced as if the ghostly maid disapproves of unmarried guests sharing a bed. The ghostly halls. The Stanley Hotel's long, winding halls have a life of their own. Guests have reported hearing strange sounds, footsteps, and disembodied voices echoing through the corridors late at night. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corridor. Flora was known for her love of music, particularly the piano. Guests and staff have often reported hearing the soft melodies of piano music drifting through the concert hall late at night, even when no one is playing. Sometimes, the keys of the piano move on their own. The Stanley Hotel has become a hotspot for paranormal investigators from around the world. Many TV shows. The Stanley Hotel is more than just a beautiful, historic destination. It's a place where the past lingers, and where the veil between the living and the dead feels thinner than anywhere else. Whether it's the ghost of Freeland Stanley, Flora's piano playing, or the playful spirits of children, the Stanley Hotel's rich history of hauntings ensures that it remains one of the most famous haunted hotels in America. For those brave enough to stay the night, the Stanley Hotel offers an unforgettable experience that blurs the line between reality and the supernatural. But be warned, the spirits of the Stanley Hotel might just make you a believer in the paranormal. The Winchester Mystery House, a tale of tragedy, spirits, and endless construction. The Winchester Mystery House is one of the most bizarre and haunted buildings in the world. Located in San Jose, California, it's not just the house's sprawling size that attracts visitors, but the eerie and unsettling legends surrounding it. Built under the direction of Sarah Winchester, the widow of firearm magnate William Wirt Winchester, the house is a labyrinth of architectural oddities, hidden passageways, and rooms that seem to serve no purpose. But the real mystery lies in why it was built this way, and the tragic, ghostly legacy that clings to its walls. The tragic beginning, the Winchester Curse. The story of the Winchester Mystery House begins with Sarah Winchester, born Sarah Lockwood Pardee in 1839. She married William Wirt Winchester, the heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, which produced the famous Winchester rifle dubbed the gun that won the West. The rifle was responsible for many deaths, used by settlers, soldiers, and lawmen alike. Sarah lived a privileged life, but it was one marked by profound tragedy. In 1866, her only child, Annie, died just weeks after birth. This loss devastated Sarah, and she fell into a deep depression. Then, in 1881, her husband William died of tuberculosis, leaving Sarah a widow. With his death, Sarah inherited an enormous fortune, valued at around $20 million, a staggering amount in those days, along with a nearly 50% stake in the Winchester Company, providing her with a daily income of around $1,000. But Sarah's wealth couldn't bring her peace. She became convinced that she and her family were cursed by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. Desperate for answers, Sarah sought the help of a medium in Boston, who reportedly told her that she was being haunted by the angry spirits of those who had died because of the Winchester rifle. The medium also told her that the only way to appease these spirits was to move west and build a house that could confuse them. As long as construction on the house never ceased, Sarah would be safe from the spirit's wrath. The endless construction begins. In 1884, Sarah moved to San Jose, California, and purchased an 8-room farmhouse. What followed was one of the strangest architectural projects in history. Sarah immediately began expanding the house, and for the next 38 years, construction never stopped. Day and night, workers were hired to build, demolish, and rebuild the mansion, following Sarah's strange and often nonsensical instructions. The house quickly grew to an enormous size, sprawling over 24,000 square feet, with 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 47 staircases, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens. What made the house so perplexing wasn't just its size, but its baffling design. Staircases led to nowhere, doors opened into walls, and windows overlooked other rooms. There were secret passageways and hidden doors, as if the house was designed to confuse not only the living but also the spirits that haunted Sarah. The number 13, associated with bad luck and the occult, appears frequently in the house. There are 13 windows in some rooms, 13 steps in certain staircases, and 13 panes in many windows. Some believe Sarah was obsessed with the number as a way to ward off evil spirits. Sarah reportedly believed that the continuous construction would keep her safe from the vengeful spirits who sought to claim her life. If the house was never finished, the spirits would never find her. In her later years, Sarah became increasingly reclusive, rarely leaving the house and communicating with her workers through handwritten notes.
The haunted halls of the Winchester Mystery House. Over time, Sarah's mansion became known as the Winchester Mystery House. Her belief in the paranormal and her dedication to the never-ending construction of the house fueled rumors and legends that the house was haunted by spirits. Many of the workers employed at the house reported strange occurrences, mysterious footsteps, cold spots, and doors slamming on their own. Some claimed to have seen apparitions of ghostly figures roaming the halls late at night. Sarah was said to hold seances in a specially designed seance room where she communicated with the spirits that guided her construction plans. This small, windowless room had a single entrance but 3 exits, another confusing architectural feature. Sarah allegedly consulted the spirits nightly to ask for guidance on how to design the house and what changes to make. One of the most enduring legends surrounding the house is that Sarah herself haunts it. After her death in 1922, the construction immediately stopped, and the workers left tools and materials scattered throughout the house. Many believe that Sarah's spirit never left the mansion she devoted her life to building, and that she still roams its twisting halls. Visitors and employees alike have reported seeing a figure dressed in black, resembling Sarah's likeness, wandering the home, particularly near her bedroom or the seance room. The mystery of the spirits. The hauntings of the Winchester Mystery House are believed to be tied to the tragic legacy of the Winchester rifle. Sarah's belief that she was haunted by the souls of those killed by the rifle has become a core part of the house's ghostly lore. Paranormal investigators have reported sensing an overwhelming spiritual presence in the house. Some rooms are said to be hotspots for ghostly activity, especially the seance room, where people have felt a sudden drop in temperature or heard soft whispers, though no one else was present. The 3rd floor, where the servants' quarters are located, is also known for frequent paranormal activity. Some visitors have reported hearing disembodied voices or catching glimpses of shadowy figures moving through the narrow hallways. In one room, called the Witch's Cap, people have heard inexplicable noises and felt a strong sense of unease. Even long after Sarah's death, the construction of the house seems incomplete. There are rooms sealed off from the rest of the house, some of which were discovered only decades later. One of these hidden rooms contained a 1906 newspaper and an assortment of old clothing, seemingly left behind in haste. This room, believed to have been sealed off after the devastating 1906 earthquake, remains one of the most mysterious parts of the house, as though Sarah intended to hide away from the spirits or from the world itself. The haunted legacy continues today. The Winchester Mystery House is a popular tourist destination, drawing thousands of visitors each year eager to explore its haunted halls and learn the strange, tragic story of Sarah Winchester. Guided tours take visitors through its twisting, nonsensical architecture, where they can experience the oddities firsthand. Doors that open into walls, staircases that lead nowhere, and rooms that defy logic. Numerous paranormal investigators have spent nights in the Winchester Mystery House hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. The house has been featured on countless TV shows, including Ghost Adventures and Most Haunted. Some investigators claim to have recorded electronic voice phenomena, EVP, witnessed doors closing by themselves, or felt the unmistakable presence of a spirit standing nearby. Yet, despite its fame and the eerie phenomena reported within its walls, the true nature of the house remains a mystery. Was it really built to appease the spirits? Did Sarah's seances connect her with the supernatural? Or was the house merely a reflection of Sarah's grief, an outward expression of her inner turmoil? Conclusion: a mystery that never ends. The Winchester Mystery House is more than just an architectural oddity. It is a place steeped in tragedy, superstition, and an unshakable belief in the supernatural. Whether or not Sarah Winchester was truly haunted by spirits, the house she left behind continues to fascinate and terrify all who visit. With its endless hallways, hidden rooms, and stories of ghostly encounters, the Winchester Mystery House stands as a testament to the mysteries of the unknown, and to one woman's desperate attempt to escape her own haunted past.
The Myrtles Plantation, located in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is widely regarded as one of the most haunted homes in America. With its grand antebellum architecture and lush surroundings, the plantation has all the charm of the Old South. Yet beneath its beauty lies a dark and tragic history filled with murder, betrayal, and ghostly apparitions. Since its construction in 1796, the Myrtles has been at the center of numerous ghost stories, making it a favorite destination for paranormal enthusiasts. But the real history of the plantation is even more unsettling than the myths that surround it. The early history of the Myrtles. The Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796 by General David Bradford, a prominent lawyer and businessman from Pennsylvania. Bradford was involved in the infamous Whiskey Rebellion, a protest against federal taxes on whiskey, and had to flee to Louisiana to escape arrest. There he built the plantation, which he originally named Laurel Grove. Bradford lived on the plantation alone for several years until President John Adams granted him a pardon in 1799. He then moved his family to the estate. When Bradford passed away in 1808, the plantation was inherited by his son-in-law, Judge Clark Woodruff, who married Bradford's daughter, Sarah. It was during Woodruff's time at the Myrtles that some of the most famous and chilling events are said to have occurred. The Legend of Chloe. Perhaps the most well-known story surrounding the Myrtles plantation is the tale of Chloe, a slave who allegedly worked in the house under Judge Woodruff. According to legend, Chloe was a house servant who was either caught eavesdropping on the Woodruff family or became Woodruff's mistress, depending on the version of the story. In some tellings, Chloe feared being punished or sent to work in the fields for her transgressions, so she devised a plan to regain favor with the family. The legend goes that Chloe baked a birthday cake for the Woodruff children, but she poisoned it by adding a small amount of oleander leaves, intending only to make them mildly ill. Her plan was to then nurse them back to health, making herself indispensable to the family. However, the plan went horribly wrong. Sarah Woodruff and two of the couple's children ate the cake and died from the poison. Fearing retribution, the other slaves on the plantation allegedly dragged Chloe outside and hanged her from a tree near the house. Her body was then thrown into the Mississippi River, erasing any trace of her existence. Since her death, many claim that Chloe's spirit still haunts the Myrtles plantation, seeking either redemption or revenge. Visitors and staff have reported seeing her apparition, often recognizable by the green turban she is said to have worn to hide the ear that was cut off as punishment for her eavesdropping. One of the most famous pieces of evidence supporting Chloe's ghost is a photograph taken by a visitor in 1992. which appears to show a shadowy figure standing between two buildings on the plantation. The figure matches descriptions of Chloe, and the photo is widely cited as proof of the supernatural activity at Myrtles. The murder of William Winter. Another famous ghost story at the Myrtles plantation revolves around the death of William Winter, who married David Bradford's granddaughter, Sarah. Winter was an attorney who lived on the plantation with his family in the mid-1800s. According to local legend, in 1871, a mysterious stranger rode up to the Myrtles and called for Winter to come outside. As Winter stepped onto the porch, the stranger shot him. Winter, mortally wounded, stumbled back into the house and tried to climb the stairs to reach his wife. He collapsed and died on the 17th step. Visitors to the plantation today claim they can still hear his ghostly footsteps echoing through the house, forever trying to reach the top of the staircase where his wife waited for him. Although historical records indicate that Winter did indeed die at the plantation, the details of his death are somewhat murky. There is no definitive proof that he was murdered in this manner, yet the legend persists, bolstered by the eerie experiences of countless guests. The spirits of the Myrtles plantation. Beyond the tragic tales of Chloe and William Winter, the Myrtles plantation is said to be home to many other restless spirits. In fact, some believe that as many as 10 different ghosts inhabit the plantation. One of the reasons for this belief is the claim that the house was built on top of an ancient Tunica Indian burial ground, which could explain the heavy paranormal activity. Visitors and staff have reported seeing apparitions of children playing on the grounds, disappearing before their eyes. The ghost of a young girl, possibly one of the Woodruff children who died from the poisoning, is often seen standing in the hallway or peering through windows. In the main house, there have been numerous reports of furniture moving on its own, objects disappearing and reappearing, and unexplained cold spots. Some guests have described hearing the sounds of faint music, children's laughter, or sobbing when no one else was around. Others have felt unseen hands brushing against them or tapping their shoulders. The chandeliers in the grand hallway are said to sway back and forth without cause, as if stirred by an invisible breeze. The grand mirror in the house is also the subject of a chilling legend. Some claim that the mirror traps the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her children, and visitors often report seeing handprints or faces in the mirror's reflection that don't belong to anyone present. The handprints are said to reappear even after the mirror has been cleaned. The history versus the legend. While the stories of Chloe, William Winter, and the Woodruff family are central to the haunted lore of the Myrtles plantation, historians have found little evidence to confirm many of the supernatural claims. For instance, there are no official records of a slave named Chloe or of the deaths of the Woodruff children from poisoning. William Winter's death is indeed documented, but the circumstances surrounding it remain unclear. Despite the lack of solid historical proof, the legends surrounding the Myrtles have taken on a life of their own. The house's eerie atmosphere, combined with the tragic events in its history, make it a magnet for those who believe in the paranormal. Whether the hauntings are real or simply the product of a vivid imagination, the Myrtles plantation remains a place where the line between history and the supernatural feels especially thin. Paranormal investigations and sightings. The Myrtles plantation has been the subject of numerous paranormal investigations over the years, and it has been featured on television shows like Ghost Hunters, Unsolved Mysteries, and Ghost Adventures. Investigators have captured unexplained voices, strange shadows, and temperature drops that they attribute to the spirits that haunt the property. In addition to professional investigations, visitors regularly report their own paranormal experiences. Some have felt an overwhelming sense of dread as they walk through certain rooms, while others claim to have seen full-bodied apparitions of soldiers, children, or women in period clothing. One of the most commonly seen spirits is believed to be Chloe, who is said to appear in photographs taken by visitors. Her image often shows up as a shadowy figure, sometimes in the background of pictures where no one else was present at the time. Conclusion: a plantation shrouded in mystery. The Myrtles plantation is more than just a historic site. It's a place where the past and the present seem to intertwine, where legends of ghosts and tragedy continue to captivate those who visit. Whether or not one believes in the supernatural, there's no denying the eerie atmosphere that surrounds the plantation, a feeling that something, or someone, lingers in the shadows. For decades, the Myrtles has been a hotspot for ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike, each hoping for a glimpse of the spirits that are said to roam the house. With its rich history and unsettling tales, the Myrtles Plantation stands as a testament to the power of legend, a place where the dead may not be as far away as we think. The story of the Bell Witch is one of the most enduring and well-known legends in American folklore, shrouded in mystery and steeped in the supernatural. The Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee, is a focal point for the haunting, where strange occurrences and paranormal activity have been reported for over 2 centuries. The tale centers on the Bell family, who were tormented by a malevolent spirit that became known as the Bell Witch. The legend has been passed down through generations, and while the stories vary, the core events are both chilling and puzzling, leaving many to wonder what truly happened in the quiet rural community of Adams in the early 19th century. In 1804, John Bell and his family moved from North Carolina to a 1,000-acre farm in the Red River area of Robertson County, Tennessee, near the present-day town of Adams. The Bell family was well respected, and John was a successful farmer who had acquired considerable land in the area. The family settled into their new life, and for several years, things seemed peaceful and prosperous. However, in 1817, their idyllic life was shattered when strange and terrifying events began to unfold. What started as minor, seemingly harmless incidents would soon escalate into one of the most famous hauntings in American history. The haunting reportedly began in 1817, when John Bell encountered a strange creature while walking through his cornfield. According to Bell, the creature had the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Startled by the sight, Bell shot at the creature, but it vanished before his eyes. This strange encounter marked the beginning of a series of supernatural events that would plague the Bell family for years. Soon after this incident, the Bell family began hearing strange noises around their home. Unexplained knocks on the doors and walls, scratching sounds, and the sound of chains being dragged across the floors. These noises would come and go, sometimes growing louder and more frequent, leaving the family unnerved but uncertain of the cause. As the weeks passed, the disturbances intensified. The Bell children began experiencing physical attacks, with their bedsheets being pulled off in the middle of the night and invisible hands pinching or slapping them. Most disturbing of all, a voice began to manifest. At first it was faint and unintelligible, but over time it grew stronger and clearer, eventually identifying itself as the spirit of a woman named Kate. The entity came to be known as the Bell Witch, though it claimed to be the spirit of a woman named Kate Batts, a neighbor of the Bell family. According to local legend, Kate Batts was a disagreeable woman who believed John Bell had cheated her in a land deal. Although she was still alive when the haunting began, many believed that the spirit was somehow connected to her, seeking vengeance on John Bell for the perceived wrong. The Bell Witch's animosity toward John Bell was fierce and personal. She vowed to kill him, and over the years the spirit tormented him relentlessly. She cursed and mocked him, physically assaulted him, and even began to affect his health. John Bell started experiencing mysterious ailments, including swelling of the throat and twitching in his face, which only worsened as the spirit's torment continued. In addition to John Bell, the spirit also took a special interest in his daughter, Betsy Bell. The entity physically abused her, pulling her hair, pinching her, and slapping her so hard that handprints were left on her face. The haunting took a severe toll on Betsy, who became withdrawn and depressed as the relentless attacks continued. News of the haunting spread quickly, and soon curious neighbors and townspeople began visiting the Bell farm to witness the strange occurrences for themselves. The Bell Witch, or Kate as she sometimes called herself, was not shy about making her presence known to visitors. She engaged in conversation, answered questions, and even displayed knowledge of distant events and conversations she couldn't have possibly known about. Among the many visitors was future US President Andrew Jackson, who had heard about the haunting and was intrigued by the reports. Jackson and a group of men traveled to the Bell farm to investigate. According to legend, as they approached the property, their wagon suddenly stopped and the horses refused to move. Jackson reportedly exclaimed, "By the Eternal, this is the Bell Witch!" After a tense standoff, the spirit allowed the wagon to proceed, and Jackson and his men spent the night at the Bell home. That night, the men allegedly experienced terrifying supernatural events. One of Jackson's men claimed to be a witch tamer and boasted that he could rid the Bell family of their tormentor. The Bell Witch, unimpressed by his bravado, attacked him, knocking him to the ground and sending him fleeing from the house. Jackson was said to have left the farm the next morning, reportedly declaring that he would rather face the British Army than the Bell Witch. The Bell Witch's primary target was John Bell, and she relentlessly tormented him until his death in 1820. His health had deteriorated significantly over the years, and the spirit's constant abuse only hastened his decline. On December 19, 1820, John Bell was found dead in his bed. A mysterious vial of black liquid was discovered near his body, and the Bell Witch gleefully claimed responsibility for his death, stating that she had given him the poison. During Bell's funeral, witnesses reported hearing the Bell Witch laughing and singing loudly as the mourners laid John Bell to rest. Her voice echoed through the graveyard, her haunting presence a reminder of the power she held over the family. After John Bell's death, the spirit seemed to ease her torment of the Bell family, but she didn't disappear entirely. Betsy Bell, who had suffered greatly during the haunting, broke off her engagement to a man named Joshua Gardner, seemingly at the insistence of the spirit. The Bell Witch had warned Betsy not to marry Joshua, and the young woman, likely worn down by years of torment, eventually complied. Although the haunting at the Bell house subsided after John Bell's death, the legend of the Bell Witch didn't end there. A cave located on the Bell family property, now known as the Bell Witch Cave, became associated with the spirit. The cave, a small but eerie natural formation, is believed by some to have been a hiding place for the Bell Witch, or perhaps even the source of her power. Visitors to the Bell Witch Cave have reported strange phenomena over the years, including disembodied voices, apparitions, and feelings of dread. Some believe that the cave is a portal to the spirit world, a place where the Bell Witch's influence remains strong. Others claim to have seen a figure resembling a woman in old-fashioned clothing wandering near the cave entrance, disappearing into the shadows without a trace. The cave is now a popular destination for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts, many of whom visit in hopes of encountering the Bell Witch herself. Tours of the cave are offered, and those who venture inside often speak of the oppressive atmosphere and the unsettling feeling of being watched. The Bell Witch haunting remains one of the most well-documented and widely known hauntings in American history. Numerous books have been written about the events, and the legend has inspired movies, television shows, and even songs. The story of the Bell Witch has become a part of Tennessee folklore, a chilling tale passed down through generations. Skeptics have attempted to explain the haunting as a combination of mass hysteria, exaggerated storytelling, and natural phenomena. Some suggest that the haunting was fabricated or embellished by the Bell family or their neighbors, while others believe that Betsy Bell's torment was a result of abuse or psychological distress, rather than supernatural activity. Despite these alternative explanations, the legend of the Bell Witch persists, and many still believe that the spirit of Kate Batts, or whatever malevolent force haunted the Bell family, was real. The Bell Witch Cave remains a focal point for those seeking to uncover the truth behind the legend, and the Bell family farm continues to draw visitors curious about the haunting that terrorized a family and captivated a nation. The story of the Bell Witch is one of the most enduring tales of the supernatural, filled with strange occurrences, mysterious deaths, and a spirit that seemed bent on revenge. Whether the Bell Witch was a vengeful ghost, a figment of imagination, or something else entirely, the events in Adams, Tennessee have left a lasting legacy. For those who visit the Bell Witch Cave or the former Bell family farm, the story is more than just a legend. It's a haunting reminder that some mysteries may never be fully explored.